Hey everyone, this is Christoph here via Bitcoin Design. Just going to give it a couple of minutes. Just started this space, see if a few people trickle in. Who do we have here from Bolt Fun?
It's Tristan. It's John.
Hey John, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. Just in sunny Belgrade. It is hot in Europe, and I am not liking it very much.
Yeah, I think we all got a taste of that heat wave, at least in Europe. Not sure how everyone else is doing. Hopefully it's not too bad.
It's so crazy for me because in the Caribbean it doesn't get this hot. It's like 32 tops, you know. Um, but here it's getting up to like 40, 42. I heard in some
Ooh.
neighboring countries. It's I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we had experienced a couple days at 44 last year. And we were just doing a trip to a city and walking around. We had to stop. It was just too much.
Were you talking there? Because I'm not sure if it was breaking up or not.
Oh, I didn't say anything. Just thinking about it. So how about we just kick it off? We have a few people here. We can just start chatting. Um, I was thinking that Johns, you and I, we had a conversation this week about conferences and hackathons and some of the things we are seeing. If we just have an open conversation, maybe people who are listening also want to share a few things if they've been to Bitcoin conferences and hackathons, what they like, what they don't like, ones they can recommend, how they go about them. Like, do they go for the talks? Do they go for the people? Do they go for the hackathons? Just what people are doing. And Johns, I thought our conversation was interesting too about hackathons, how I think kind of the traditional hackathon is like a weekend basically, but we've also noticed that some hackathons are turning into 3 month events, which are quite quite different beasts. So I was wondering if you could just discuss everything, and yeah, how about that? How does that sound?
Yeah, sure, no worries. I would love to like see if anyone here has been on a hackathon before. Maybe you could throw up some hearts or something if you have. And whilst that's going on, yeah, we are seeing like a lot more hackathons now, especially the virtual ones being like a longer period of time, because I'm not necessarily sure why. I guess it might be difficult to coordinate a lot more people. But it's also a little quite convenient, you know. Not everyone um, is able to give up like a specific weekend, and also if you want people to like learn about a certain technology, um, it's also good to give them like some time to learn so they could participate on the hackathon, right? Maybe you're a maker or something, you're a developer, you're whoever. Um, you you have the ability to create something or design something, but you just haven't like engaged with it. So learning to do something whilst on the hackathon itself, if it's a weekend, that's yeah, you're not really gonna be able to achieve much. But if it's a month, then you get to, you know, spend a couple weeks learning, and then you build something and potentially win some of the prizes that are getting given out.
Yeah, weekends are really good for some really intense work. You meet some people, you bond, you hang out, you have pizza, you work through the night. It's a very unique experience. Can be really fun. Well, something that I was wondering, well, with those. So here's there's a hackathon I came across that's 3 months, and at the end there's like 800K of prizes or something like that. And there's also a focus on making it hyper local. So if anyone's interested, that's called a Web3athon, .xyz. So the format really just kind of stood out because it's so different. I guess what I was wondering here is I'm comparing that a little bit to kind of startup accelerators, which are also often 3 months long, and they also provide very hands-on support. So you meet every week you have a different agenda. Sometimes you talk about infrastructure or business models or marketing or user-centered design, and then you have experts come in that kind of help you out, and the teams also help each other over this 3 months period. And then the VCs at the end get to see it, and then that's kind of, and then they can invest. It's kind of the classical startup accelerator model. And with a hackathon that kind of gives away a whole ton of money after 3 months, it just feels like it's very much nearing that format. And I was just wondering, like, why not just why why do this hackathon? Because with 3 months, there are a lot of open source projects out there. Why not just encourage people to contribute to those? Well, because there are so many projects that need contributors. They have great foundations, but they maybe need a little bit of money, or they could benefit, like really speed up development or design or whatever with a little bit of money and some extra support. Why not, go this route?
Well, you see, typically with hackathons, you have like some corporate sponsors if you want to have like prizes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they try to get you to build with their technologies, whatever solution they came up with. Um, and that's basically how you're going to win the prize, um, or like a bigger prize pool or something like this. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the reasons why, like, you know, I have to be honest, like, one of the reasons people join some of these hackathons, the virtual ones specifically, is for prize money. And you're absolutely right. It is kind of like taking the form of a kind of like a VC-esque accelerator kind of thing, right? Little competition. You provide mentorship, some prizes. Like with Bolt Run, we even kind of like get people in front of VCs if they want, or at least with like Fulgur Ventures and HiveMind, we kind of like tell them they get do some office hours with them, which is like basically free advice that they get. So yeah, it definitely takes that kind of form. But I think that's a really good thing to bring up. Like, how can we encourage people to hack on existing open source projects? And now I think about it, Fulgur Venture, not Fulgur Ventures, Fulmo kind of does some stuff like that during the Lightning Hack Week, right? Um, Fulmo is an organization, they've been around for years and years now, doing hackathons on Bitcoin and Lightning, and different kind of events. And yeah, so they basically say this week, it's not a competition, you're not winning any money or anything, but just like this week, just work on stuff. You just dedicate some time to work on the stuff in Bitcoin and Lightning. So I think that maybe takes a format similar to what you, or at least close enough to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess the real thing is, what do you want to achieve with your hackathon? With this one that I just mentioned, they're trying to encourage hyper local use cases, which is very different. Like sometimes it feels like hackathon, it's just a fun weekend. Get to go. People hack around things, and nobody expects anything amazing to come out of it, but everybody learns a bit and has some fun. I guess this is very different. But I guess I'm just wondering if the term hackathon is really applicable there anymore, or if it's kind of being, I don't know, what do you call it, appropriated to something else.
Definitely. Well, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're actually going to. So our hackathons are getting longer and longer. Well, actually, no. The first one was 1 week.
Yeah.
Technically, we had 3 days of hacking, but you could start whenever you could have started earlier. The last one was 3 days only, and the next one it's probably going to be like two, yeah, about 2 months, maybe even 3 months. Now at that point, with kind of like you know getting more corporate sponsors and stuff like that, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's more in line to call it a tournament. It's a tournament happening, and initially, like, I was kind of like curious about this kind of like this the switch, right? So hackathons, they feel like the word, it feels like something fun, something we're doing together. It doesn't matter, like forget, like, oh, maybe we get prizes, but we're enjoying the pizza and the experience, right? When you take it to the digital realm, there's no pizza and meeting people is a little bit harder. We've seen, but um uh yeah, so I think it's more genuine to call it like uh, a tournament, because that's what it is, and I don't think necessarily competition is bad in the space now. Um, Initially, it was more like, we want people to come together and work together and make friends and all that. We still want that, but maybe some healthy competition isn't so bad either, since in the virtual hackathon people are so focused on the prizes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's almost like a season. It's like hack
Yeah,
season.
hack season. Have you
Yeah.
attended any hackathons?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually at some very early FOMO hackathons.
Mm.
Um, Years ago when Lightning was just very, very new. And I didn't at that time I didn't quite get it. I was fairly new to this whole space. I was like, okay, that's kind of fun. I don't understand half of what's going on, but it seems cool. And I couldn't really hack along with anything, right? It was very technical.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that was my experience with hackathons. Well, that was the real world one. And then a couple of years ago, also participated in the MIT Bitcoin Hackathon.
Oh yeah.
And then there was one more. What was that one called? But that one and the other one were both virtual. Um, but yeah, had a good time. I enjoy those because they are kind of short. They just take a weekend, and I think if you're focused on design, a weekend's a good time to come up with an idea, design a few things, create a prototype. I personally wouldn't be comfortable doing anything technical really that way because I feel like I
Mm.
would spend half the time just setting up code base and infrastructure. But I think from a pure design hackathon perspective, I'd be comfortable. I like doing that.
Well, there's a professional hackathon goers, right?
Yeah,
And you need to have like your hackathon boilerplate ready. You see, that's very amateur. You're starting
I see.
to, to set up your environment. No, 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 no. You have your whole
Yeah.
boilerplate ready for for the hackathon.
I guess everything gets professionalized. I did startup mentoring for UX stuff for several years, 3, 4 years or so. And after getting to know that space a little bit, it does feel like there are also certain startups that basically hop from accelerator to accelerator for
Oh wow,
years.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that was the thing.
yeah,
Okay. What?
yeah. There are
What?
some teams I mentored them, and then we're friends. We connect on LinkedIn, and then I see them over the next 2 years. I see them. Oh, we just joined this accelerator. We just finished that accelerator. Now we're gonna go to this accelerator, and they just. I guess they get super fast with all this acceleration.
Well, I mean, it's a startup, right? Move fast and accelerate.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, maybe it takes those few attempts until the magic happens, and then they're off. Um, yeah, I just thought it was interesting because it seemed like there are some of these people who just travel through these different experiences, and I hope they make it. Don't want to assume any bad intent there.
Well, so what's the role of a designer in a hackathon? Because one thing that we also spoke about was this designathon as well. You've written up quite a bit about it, also about the idea. What's um what's typically the designer's role, and what does something like a designathon solve?
Yeah, I mean it's totally up to the team and what they want to solve. I feel like designing is planning in a way. Um, it allows you to, so a lot of times there's an idea and maybe some scribbles, and then there's code, and there's nothing in between. But if you spend a little bit more time whiteboarding, have somebody who can very quickly put together some wireframes, maybe click through prototype, then you can save a lot of coding time because you can evaluate your concept and visualize it so much faster. It just saves you 1,000 steps and your keyboard clicks in between. It can speed up the process a ton. And you get, when people, there's a difference when people hear an idea. A lot of times it sounds so much more exciting and cooler than it might actually be. And if you can quickly visualize it, then people have a very different response to it because they can see what that looks like. They can react kind of on a gut level to it. So I think it's a really great planning and validation tool, especially if you want to move really fast. And the weekend for hackathon, if you really want to kind of have a somewhat decent process, like if you don't care, if you just want to hack around, totally fine. But if you do want to kind of go through a somewhat decent project process, then you want to have ideation, discovery, concept, direction, testing, implementation. You want to have a few of those steps going or happen in some loose way. Yeah, and then the code just has to be the code is then just executing what was already designed and decided on. It's not like then you separate the thinking and the designing from the coding. They become different activities, and each one can be more focused.
Yeah, so I think one thing that people also um, like have a wrong perception of like at the hackathon is like you don't necessarily have to get like a fully working prototype, and this
That's true.
is
Yeah.
and like the cheat is basically you come up with a really good presentation. You have some code and a really good presentation, and that presentation part, well, that's definitely where a designer fits in there, right? Um, so yeah, it's like you if you could show like some kind of prototype that does some part of what you like, it doesn't have to do the whole thing, but some part of what you were planning to do, then you just show off the presentation because you have to, usually make a slide deck or something to show like why are you making this, why is it important, etc., etc. Why is the
Yeah.
problem important to you, etc., and why you
You
decide to
know,
work.
I would also add something there because if you're just talking about, if a hackathon's there to explore ideas, there are just a million ideas that you cannot code very quickly or that you might not be able to code at all because, I don't know, something about Bitcoin is just not ready for it yet. Bolt 12, Fedimint, Taro, whatever it is, right? There's a ton of stuff happening and changing and coming up very soon. But maybe you do want to explore those ideas. So you can't even code them, but you can still explore them via very easily via design and prototypes and interactive prototypes. So I think it opens up new spaces if you feel like it doesn't have to be code, or if you open that space up.
Yeah, and I think like another place that people tend to go to these or like another place where these hackathons take place as well is conferences, right? Usually there's like some little booth there in the corner um during the conference with some hackathon happening. There's a few conferences coming up this summer, this fall. Any of them exciting you?
Yeah, so I have a list here, and actually, one of the reasons why we're talking about conferences is because this weekend there's a COSCUP, which coscup.org, which is an open source conference in Taiwan. And so Bitcoin Design has two panels there. Well, one panel and one presentation. There's a panel about open design where a few people share their experiences in how they got into open design and Bitcoin and what they're doing now, and share some tips and whatnot. And then the second one is a presentation how about Bitcoin design. The community is supporting open design in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So how it's structured, what the idea is there, how it's organized, all the different activities that happen and also some of the things that didn't work out. So that's if you want to check that out, the schedule is at coscup.org. It's a free online conference. So that's kind of where that came up because we were just working on presentations and recording panels and whatnot. And the other thing, the other conferences are happening. The ones that I'm aware of, at least, is there's Baltic Honey Badger in Riga on September 3 to 4, which on the website says that's the biggest European Bitcoin only conference, and that's from what I've heard. It's that's a really legit one. Would love to check out that sometime. Then there's Bitcoin Amsterdam in October 12 to 14. So I think that's organized by Bitcoin Magazine. So similar to the Bitcoin Miami, this is kind of the Europe version of it. And I think that's the first time they're doing this in Europe. Then there's TabConf, which is in Atlanta, October 13 to 15. I'm not the tagline here is building builders, but I'm not totally sure, how that one is unique to compares to the other conferences. I know Steven's involved with it; he plans it. If anyone wants to talk to him, he's Steven in the Bitcoin design community. And then there's adopting Bitcoin in El Salvador, November 15 to 17. Also one that I'd love to check out. I just need to get over the 16 hours of travel and just make that one happen. To be honest, I'd love to check out all of them, but I was wondering if are you aware of what the differences are between those conferences? If they have different character, different focus, and if you've been to any of them? Also, people who are listening, if you have anything to share there.
Yeah, I think so I've heard of Baltic honey badger for some years, and it's it's one of those like conferences where you go like super maxi. It's like some of the OGs would go there in Bitcoin, talking about all protocol related stuff, security related stuff, like very high tech things. Good conversations, good quality speakers and stuff like that, but very high tech things. The TabConf one, I have not been to it to be honest, and um, I think it's like one of those like builder conferences. Um, like people who are making things. Maybe close to the protocol. Maybe it is. I think it is still a bit technical as well. Like advancing Bitcoin, maybe it's similar to that one, but I haven't been to the TabConf one, so I couldn't really say.
Mm.
Adopting Bitcoin, this one is just like a mix and match of like fun stuff and Bitcoin or happiness, and I really like. It was one of my favorite conferences in the past couple of years to go to. To be honest, I went there in last year in November. It was super fun, especially the location in El Salvador. It was a vibe. It was a vibe. Um, which one else is there? Yeah, I think those do. There's one this summer called Surfing Bitcoin. Have you heard about this one?
I thought somebody mentioned it before. Let me look that one up.
It's in
That is
France.
in France
Yeah,
at
Biarritz.
the Biarritz Casino. Okay, that's August 25 to 27.
Okay,
August. Putting it in my list of conferences here.
that might be a signal there already.
But it's in a casino.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
the largest Bitcoin conference in Europe.
but it's great. I really want to see like more local hackathons and conferences popping up. A lot of these are, of course, targeted. Oh, one of them I've just found. I just spoke with somebody this morning. There's one in Bulgaria, but I don't know the name of it, and that's going to be in October 15th or so. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it though. So if anyone's in Bulgaria, want to check that one out. Yeah, and I think that one is just for like very beginners, not very technical. Um, They're trying to establish a Bitcoin community over there.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, but I really want to see like more of the local stuff happening. You know.
I mean, maybe that stuff happens and we're just not aware of it.
That is true. That is true. Um,
So there is a website called Bitcoiner Events, bitcoinerevents.com, where you can see. I have no idea how complete this really is, but it does list a lot of stuff. There are today alone. There are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 events just today. Probably not that much every day, I would guess, but it is quite a lot. Lots of meetups, Socratic seminars, very US based as focused, I think. Podcasting, Pleb Broadcasting Service, live broadcast. Philadelphia, Miami, San Juan.
actually,
Yeah, mostly meetups, I think.
I just realized we have to update our hackathon list on Bolt Fund.
What?
We have a directory of hackathons there, but it says none upcoming. So I'm like, oh no, I need to add in the TabCon one and the other ones that we discussed.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's after COVID and not really connecting with a lot of people in the real world for a few years. I feel like it's a very good opportunity to go to one of those and just talk to people, get a feel for them, hear what they're doing, share some stories, hang out. I think it's a very healthy thing to do. I'd have to pick out some of those conferences,
Yeah,
make it happen.
definitely. But you know, like one of the things that like has always been limiting, especially like again, sorry for bringing this up, but you know, like it's where I'm from, the Caribbean. Is a like my country is like so tiny, right? There's 200,000 people there, so
Hmm.
um you want to go to these events. It costs like thousands of dollars to like get a ticket to leave the country. You know, it's then you know you're paying accommodation and all those kind of things. And you know you just want to attend a hackathon to be around like-minded people and stuff, and learn from them. I really think like there is space in Bitcoin for like more virtual stuff as well. Um, uh, I don't know. Have we had a lot of like virtual events, like Bitcoin events? I know we've been presenting at a lot of conferences and stuff, um, like open source conferences over the past couple of years, for like as part of the Bitcoin design community. But have there been any Bitcoin events that we've participated in?
Phew. How do you define events? What type of activity are you
I mean,
looking for?
it could be like a like you know like Figma Config was a online conference for Figma, right? Like, where's the online conference for Bitcoin? Like, was there something else like that? Maybe not as big, but like were there any online conferences?
I mean, if you consider the what is it, Magical Crypto
Ah,
Conference
yes, yes, that is,
from a few years ago, that was all in some 3D space.
yeah.
MCC VR 2020,
Mm, that is
September
true.
2020. That was interesting because they used some Firefox platform for social 3D worlds and created these custom spaces that people were giving talks in. And you could walk around, talk to people. If you got closer to people, you could hear what they're saying. So there was nice audio integration. Or you could go into these conference rooms, and a conference room may have been looked like a coliseum. The one in Rome, and the speakers are down on the stage, or another room where there was a stage and somebody was speaking was a cave, and there was a sleeping dragon behind. It was just kind of fun. Some technical glitches happened there, but yeah, I don't think that really took off. I'm not sure what was missing there, if how effective it was at getting people to talk to each other and hang out. I think that's kind of the big question, because I think one of the things with online conferences is that pretty much the videos get recorded and you can just watch them anytime you want. There's not a huge reason to be there in the moment, right?
Yeah, that is true. I don't know. Do we need to design something to have people in the moment? I don't think the Magical Crypto Conference one was recorded though.
Yeah, I don't think that
So
one was.
so for that one, I think you would need to be kind of like present. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess that opens another question of like, how do you create an event within Bitcoin that like everyone wants to participate in and can jump in and jump out, um, and have that like kind of conference feel. I think it's a I think it's something important because um, you named one that was like yeah, almost 2.5 years ago or whatever, or 2 years ago. Yeah. Um, I I can't recall anything else. So I think we could definitely have a nice balance of the virtual hackathons for everyone else who can't travel or can't afford it, virtual conferences, and then of course the in-person local ones, and hopefully we start seeing like a lot more of those as well.
Yeah, I think with the locals ones, it really just needs 5 people or 10 people or so to find each other and organize something, right? I mean, it maybe it is easier if there's some global, if let's say Fulmo, they have been doing their lightning hackathons and then they provide some template or some support in people launching their own hackathons. Maybe there's value in that when there's some entity that kind of pushes that forward. And I think there are groups like Creative Mornings. Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
It's
I've
like
heard
a
of it.
breakfast lecture series that started in New York, I think, but then they basically kind of like TED Talks or so. Anybody can start that type of lecture series in their own city, and they have 224 cities now. It's like creativemornings.com. And you could do something like that where there's like a format and people around the world can just pick up that format and they can through that website they can organize their own variation of this one. Another one that I found interesting is, do you know Pechakucha? It is
Never heard of.
a so that is a Japanese format. I think some architects came up with that one, and so anybody can present about anything, and it's meant to be very brief. Everybody has uh, 20 slides, and I think 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide. The slides automatically rotate and you cannot control it. So you have a very short period of time and you have to have a pretty quick pace. Because otherwise you're not going to get through the slides will just continue no matter what you do. And what I found interesting about that event format is that it attracts all kinds of different people from all kinds of different backgrounds, and you'll hear some really interesting, some really boring, some really random or surprising topics, and you get these quick snippets in people's ideas, and it's never too long that it gets boring. So that is so I think there are some different formats. Uh, and maybe it is helpful if there's some central website where you can understand the format, you can watch recordings of what people do, and you can launch your own one in your local community if you want to.
Yeah, I'm hoping to open source some of the learnings and stuff that we have with both, and so other people could host it. But as we're talking about hackathons, there I see Mr. Thunderbiscuit jumped in. I don't know if he wants to come up and have a chat, because we have discussed in the past some hackathons ideas as well, virtual hackathon ideas. So Thunderbiscuit, if you wanna have a chat about that with us. We're discussing um, Bitcoin hackathons and conferences that are happening this summer and fall, and like how designers, or just like how designers can participate, and how other like how we can start connecting with Bitcoiners online and virtual space as well. Um, yeah, so. Uh,
I just invited Thunder Biscuit if he wants to accept. That's cool. If not, then also good. We're not going to bug him anymore. So just
Yeah,
choose your adventure there, and we'll just
yeah.
keep chatting.
And anyone else who wants to come up and share their experience, please just send a request in. So, Christoph, when Bitcoin Design Community Conference,
Okay.
one of the
Yeah.
questions that we were, I think, yeah, Connor asked me today was, like where's the design track on some of these conferences that are happening, right? So, yeah, maybe we should just say screw it and have our own conference. Uh, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's so the idea of of Bitcoin design community specific or just Bitcoin design specific event, conference, hackathon has been floating around for some time, and we talked about a few different formats, and we just haven't organized anything yet. But I feel like we're getting to a better point where we kind of figure out where we kind of know maybe what we want to do and what this would look like. Where it's not just like, okay, we're doing exactly like what, let's say, developers do, and we just do design stuff. Um, maybe we can. I think we're at a good point now where we can figure something out. And one of the ideas that was floating, a little bit of a unique format that we've been discussing was the Bitcoin Design Exploration Week. There could be a different name for it, but you basically take 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. You set that aside, and you turn that into a time where people can form groups and explore ideas, and then at the end they can create presentations or clickable prototypes or videos or motion graphics or whatever it is. Just create a really design exploration focused event. Also, include have I think they could have a series of talks and support and help tell the stories of the projects, connect people to form groups and whatnot, and also then propose a series of ideas that are kind of focused a little bit more on, let's say, the future or crazy ideas. Like, think about, let's say you think about the Bitcoin app that you wish existed, but it just doesn't exist yet. Just let your mind roam freely and just design something. And it could be just a variation of some of the things you see today, or it could be just something completely futuristic, maybe with, like you see in sci-fi movies, it's like some projection in the air or on your mirror or glass phones or whatever it is, or augmented reality headset, Bitcoin wallet, whatever it is, right? Just really projected in the future, whether that's technology in general or some Bitcoin specific technology. Or do something just creative, create a Bitcoin 101 comic book or create a trailer for a fake movie about something. I think there's all kinds of interesting stuff that could be done, and I would love to see that. And we were also talking about how it would be interesting to do that right before a hackathon that is maybe a little bit more development focused, because it could be a situation where there's this real creative, more blue sky exploration first, and that informs some of the things that are happening during a hackathon. So I think that would be an interesting thing to do. But your idea of introducing design tracks at conferences, I think it's something pretty different, because you would basically have speakers and maybe a workshop, maybe panel discussion or so, more like the traditional formats where people present and other people listen. But I think the idea of creating um, this exploration week, I mean, I would find that super exciting to participate. I don't know about you or other people. What does everyone else think here? How does that sound?
I see Thunder Biscuits up here. I don't know if you want to say some words. Hey, Thunder Biscuit.
Hey, thanks for inviting me to speak. I was listening. Just you were talking about hackathons, and I think from my perspective, or at least because I'm the maintainer of an open source project, and we do have a bit of manpower too. It's the Bitcoin Dev Kit, and it has quite a few full-time developers on it. But when we explore the idea of a hackathon, it was in the end, it was like the more we got into it, the more it appeared to be a lot of work, basically. and because it's just we're all working on this. Anyway, it just ended up being. I see that as being one of the main hurdles is like the amount of work and effort that's required to pull off a successful event. But I think the Bolt.fun, the website you guys are doing is definitely providing like starting points, and that friction is one of the big things. If we can like help reduce that, might be might make more hackathons possible, basically.
We were talking about FOMO earlier and the format that they use for the Lightning Hack Sprint. It's not like a competition or anything. They have like some talking or whatever, but it's like a unconference hackathon. There's like unconference where everyone kind of like goes on stage and discuss whatever they want, um, for like a certain amount of time. That's how kind of like the hack week kind of is as well. If you want to present, you can, but it's a period in time in which the community can come together and hack on some project, whatever project they'd like. There's no prizes or anything. Maybe that could be a quick, low time, like low, what do you call it? Amount of work to get it going as like a first hackathon. Uh, have you thought about something like this?
No, actually, yeah, I had not. I hadn't even thought about that. And the funny thing is, I have actually participated in one of their sort of weekend sprint hackathon thing once, like last year or something, and it was super fun. So,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
something.
and then you can just like I think for something like that as well, you can have like a set amount of projects, maybe some bounties if you want, but like say like, hey, these people are working on this and this, like the core team or whatever, and like here's some ideas of things that like you can do, and here's some issues or whatever, and it's like a BDK hack week or whatever, and you could use that to like help onboard new people. Focus around like education and helping to onboard them, but like don't focus around like trying to give like too much structure, just like mentorship, which you guys are already doing anyway, right? If someone comes in and asks a question about Rust or something.
Actually, this is such a good idea. I'm going to add it to the dev call agenda for next week.
Well, yeah, we need it's on the agenda. We need more Bitcoin events happening, people. Let's get it going.
So, but by the way, do you think that these conferences, let's say, I don't know, Honey Badger or something, it'd be open if we say, hey, what's up? We want to have a design track. Let's make it happen. Is how early do you have to, plan these types of things?
Ooh, I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out now. It seems like every event that we have very little time, especially
Yeah.
since we're trying to do it every quarter. We're only gonna have one more. No shit, we're gonna have two events this year. Yeah. So the next event we're having is like close to winter and like mid fall, and
Mm-hmm.
like even that, it just feels like I would say like I don't know when to reach out to them. Maybe just like as soon as possible, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bitcoin Magazine is going to have a conference next year sometime. Might as well just reach out to them and
Yeah.
start those conversations now. I think, um, you know,
Yeah, that makes sense.
even the honey one.
And the hackathon probably, let's say we want to have workshops and design workshops, and a hackathon at a conference probably takes even more coordination work. I'm sure Stephen could help with that as an organizer of TapCon. He probably knows all the ins and outs of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Mm.
especially these in person, because I've never set up an in person hackathon before, so I don't know. Like, do you have to feed people, or do they know how to feed themselves?
I think that can be pretty spontaneous as long as you lay out some if you can, people can just kind of order pizza, group together, order some pizza or so, then it's usually fine. But I think there can also be, you buy a whole bunch of drinks and people just kind of take some drinks and you rely on them to donate or to chip in some money, or even, you get the lightning beer vending machine going. That works too. It depends on how formal, how personal, or let's say formal or impersonal the event is, I think, whether you have to provide or not.
I don't think I have the energy anymore to do a one of those in-person 48-hour hackathons anymore. I did it once before, and it is so brutal. It is so brutal. I mean, I'm
But
getting
did you
old
learn a
here.
lot?
Huh?
Did you learn a lot?
Yeah, of course, of course. It was
Yeah.
like great learning experience, but
Mm.
but it is quite a stressful experience nonetheless.
Yeah. Hey, Thunder Biscuit, I was wondering, what was kind of the initial motivation for potentially organizing a hackathon? What were you trying to achieve?
I think a lot of it was just like getting visibility for the project,
Hmm.
trying to get people to hack cool stuff. It's I think we moved from like good stuff, solid experiments, whatever, into more production ready code now. And one of the goals was to sort of let people know and get people hacking on it and asking questions, and especially that because we're maintaining language bindings, it can appeal to a wide range of developers from different languages and different types of applications. So like mobile, all the way to like data science. You could with Python, you could do a lot of like AI data science, and some of that could use a Bitcoin dev kit, or again like mobile app or servers, bots, that sort of thing. So we wanted to sort of push that, and initially the other thing was that the Lightning dev kit wanted to do something as well. So we thought it'd be great if we could like do it together, and like we'd have a bunch of people hacking away because they're sort of sister libraries. But in the end, even LDK was like, oh, it's just too much work. So they sort of pulled out, and then it was just us. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. It's the people, as a project matures initially, it's pretty rough. It's pretty raw. It's not ready for a broad audience to be used, and but then it matures, and you kind of want more exposure. You want to invite more people in to hack with it, to play with it, to use it, to kind of stretch it, see where it breaks, and see what maybe potentially use cases are, and also just figure out what people want. Right? You're building tools for others. You want to figure out what they want to do with it, and then the like your mission changes slightly. It's from just like kind of barely getting it to work, to getting it to work, to getting it stable, to documenting it well, to then just talking to a lot of people and writing documentation, maybe helping them implement stuff. And sometimes there are different people who are good at that than the people who are really good at initially setting up the infrastructure, for example. It takes a bit to get used to, and it's not everybody has fun doing that, trying to like motivate people to work, to look at your stuff. It's like not everybody has fun with that, so I totally get that. I am wondering if if the design community as a community, if there are some people, or maybe in the developer community, if there are some people who really love doing this, love organizing, and maybe they're a little bit less technical, but they're just focused on other things. Maybe there are a few people who want to bond together and make some of this happen.
Yeah, it's like the non-technical contributions that people can make, right? Uh, there's I was also talking today to someone about the Bitcoin design community, because yeah, typically events and stuff like that, they tend to be yeah, very technical and stuff, and they wanted to provide some things that are not so intimidating to their audience. And I'm like, well, maybe you could tell them about the Bitcoin design community, because there's like a variety of people there who, you can be technical, you can be building stuff, like Thunder Biscuits in there, I think, um, uh, who's working on yeah, like implementing protocols and stuff like this. But if you're a researcher, if you're a copywriter, designer, or whatever else, that's not into code necessarily, that's also a space for you. And I think maybe we should drum up some kind of I don't know, whether it's a campaign or something to get like more people um like uh attracted to the ecosystem, sorry, attracted to the community, that are like also not technical, that may not be like traditional design thing. Maybe they're an event planner and they're interested in Bitcoin. Maybe we can send out some tweets or something to try to attract them.
Totally, we need a party planning committee. And talking about diversity, I was just so the new Bitcoin Design newsletter came out today, bitcoindesign.substack.com, and just reading through some of the top things. Uh, so there were two design crits, which is pure design review. You don't need to understand the tech. Then we had a learning Bitcoin and design talk about Fedimint, which just basically there to make complex tech very simple. There was a call with like a dozen UX researchers talking about user stories, service blueprints, and other stuff. There was another call about business models, which there seemed to be some interest in. And that was also kind of tied um, to kind of design and project reviews of some of the things we see out there. There was a call about prototyping and setting up user testing. And then we created some community stickers. So it's like they're super diverse from very technical stuff all across the board. There are all kinds of different activities. So yeah, I hope everybody can find something in there. Might not always be super visible, but and I feel like the same type of talents and interests they can also contribute at hackathons and conferences in the same way.
Yeah, definitely. Um, uh, we're coming to the end now of the spaces or community call. How do you wanna
Yeah,
how do you wanna close off?
yeah, 5 minutes left. Very, very small group today. Thanks for all who tuned in. My sense is that, and I know a whole bunch of people are on vacation right now. They're off for the summer. They're probably melting away at some beach somewhere, or just kind of brain dead because it's so hot where they are. So, but thanks to all who tuned in, and thanks Johns, thanks Thunder Biscuit. I after this conversation, I'm way more excited about conferences and hackathons now, and what we could potentially do, and how we could make some unique things happen there for designers and for UX and product work that maybe doesn't get served so well by some of the other formats out there. We're gonna have to have a lot more conversations about this and make something happen.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to do a better job at like next week. I'll start kind of getting some of the maybe the next set of hackathon planning stuff, and Bolt Fun, just development in general. Um,
But you're
back
doing the
and
most out of everyone in that regard. You already organized two hackathons. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, third one coming up as
Third one
well.
coming, and it's 3 months long. I mean, you're doing more than anyone else here, really.
Do you want to know like something really funny? We have like the 2 month hackathon going on. What? Yeah, 2 or 3 months hackathon going on in the fall. Plus, we have the adopting Bitcoin hackathon that we have to plan. So, which is also going to. We're doing this thing. I'll just give some insight into it. It's going to be like a 2 month, 2 month minimum hackathon, maybe 3. We're still deciding. We're trying to get like some sponsors with some big prizes. There's definitely going to be a designer track on there, because we think user experience is important, even at a hackathon. And we want to get like people in the Bitcoin design community, and just like people who may not be technical to also be able to participate. And then throughout the world, we want to have like many other hackathons which are happening at the same time, but they are able to win the kind of like the global prize. So that's like generally the format that we're playing around with. It's a lot of work to try to figure it out. We'll see how far we get.
Awesome. Yeah, please share the process and everything that's going on, because I think it'll also help find people to support the ideas and support the planning.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited for it. I have to set aside the whole fall, winter just for conferences and hackathons.
For sure. And thank you, Christoph, for hosting the community call today. Awesome work as usual. Everyone else.
Well, thanks for joining. I'm going to sign off now. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and have a good one. Thanks all.